Healthy TV episode number 33. And on today's show, we're talking about a super easy strategy that we use with all of our clients here at the Wellness Group. And not only does this strategy help to reduce pain and aches and things like that, but it also helps to improve your energy levels throughout the day. And it can really contribute and set the foundation for a stronger, healthier body. Okay, now I'm going to get into what that is in a moment, but if you want to just skip ahead of all this, you can just go to the discussion above, the post above, and in there's a link to go and access this special strategy. Something that I think you're going to find to be super, not only easy, but it's probably going to seem like way too simple. But I can honestly tell you, when I implemented this strategy back about 5 years ago, man, it made a huge difference. I was super skeptical. How can this provide any use to me? And but I can guarantee that if you stick to this strategy, if you do it every day, you're going to notice a huge difference. Like I said, in aches and pains, reducing those, in increase in energy, and also strengthening your body overall. Now, what is it that I'm talking about? Fits perfectly with the overarching theme of Healthy TV, because really this whole show is about sharing these simple tips and strategies that you can easily put into place. The simple habits that if you do them consistently over time, that's when you gain the benefits. That's when you access those results that will literally transform your health over the long term. Okay, nothing happens overnight, and this is a great example of that. What I'm talking about is mobility and moving your joints every day. Every joint in your body has a predetermined amount of healthy movement. We call that a range of motion. And this may surprise you, but your range of motion that as adults we should be able to maintain, that's actually set at about the age of between 6 and 8. Okay, that is so imagine if you can remember back to when you were 8 years old. That's great, but if not, look at the 8-year-olds around you and see their quality of movement, and that's actually what we should be able to do as adults. Now, most of us, we've lost it, right? And I can tell you right now that it's not lost forever. In fact, we see it over and over again, people regaining lost mobility, and that's simply because the body is designed to move that way, and assuming there's no significant damage to the joint structures and the tissues around them, then you can actually regain most, if not all of that mobility. Okay. Now, why is this so important, and how does it have this impact on, like I mentioned, energy, pain levels, and strength? Well, it turns out that movement or motion is an essential nutrient for your brain. Okay, so this is a concept that is really starting to, it's certainly well founded by the research, but basically every time you move, you're stimulating your brain to a significant degree. In fact, researchers have shown that if we were to follow you around and measure all the activity in your brain as it happens throughout the day, about 80% of that activity relates in some way to movement. Okay, so every time you move, you're feeding your brain with this super important nutrient, which is this energy, the stimulation that happens. And this is why, just kind of as a real life example, you may have heard that exercise is a great strategy for those people that are dealing with depression. It helps to improve their symptoms of depression. Now, I don't look at exercise and movement as a treatment for anything. I just think it's an essential requirement we need to satisfy if we want to be healthy. But those studies show time and time again that if individuals who suffer from depression, if they simply just start moving, they experience changes, they experience benefits, they start to feel better, they have less symptoms of depression. And that's simply because as they move, they're literally stimulating their brain, which is changing the way their brain works, and that's in those cases helping their emotional part of their brain to respond in a more appropriate manner. Okay, so that's super cool. I find that really exciting. Now, that's just one aspect. As you stimulate your brain, that actually gives you energy, right? That wakes you up. And so as we work on mobility, there's a real-time effect. And this is a strategy that you can utilize throughout your day. So if you're starting to crash, I'm actually linking to a video above. If you just take snippets of that video and do it spread out through your day, it's going to significantly improve that kind of maintenance of a nice steady state of energy. Okay. As it relates to pain and aches, oftentimes those symptoms, issues that people deal with result from unhealthy tissue and unhealthy joints. And so the first step to improve the health of a joint is to use it, right? To actually properly use it. And that comes down to actually doing consistent movement. For most of us, we don't use our joints, or certainly don't use them nearly to the degree that they're designed for. And there's this whole use it or lose it principle in the body that it's always trying to be the most efficient possible. And so if you don't use tissues, you don't use joints to the degree that they're designed for, then they'll start to adapt. Okay, that's why this is to reverse that. It's a whole process. It's not something that just happens. You can't just do mobility once and expect to improve the range of motion. You'll actually need to do this consistently, but I guarantee the benefits that you'll gain from that will far outweigh the cost of the time investment. Okay. The third thing I mentioned is strengthening and giving your body a bit more resiliency. As you improve movement and mobility of every joint, that actually has a big impact on your ability to respond in the moment. And so imagine, a simple example. If I'm running and I roll my ankle, if I have, I'm saying I'm running for the bus, right? Or I'm trying to, there's some emergency and I need to run. If your body's not capable, if it's not used to that stress, it's going to be at a huge increased risk of causing damage, right? And so if I have poor mobility of, say, my ankles, and I go over a curb, there's a high likelihood that I'm going to sprain my ankle, right? I'm going to create some damage to the tissue, and that's going to lead to some problems. But if I consistently work on that, my ankle joints are going to be more capable of adapting to that stress, right? And so that applies throughout the body. This is a principle that if you start to utilize and access greater and greater ranges up to a normal amount, that's going to allow for greater resiliency and greater adaptation to physical stresses. So those are the top 3 reasons why this video above, I think, should be a priority for you to do. Best time to do it is in the morning. We call it joint-to-joint mobility, by the way. So it's literally moving from head to toe, working through every joint in the body, and it's a great way to wake yourself up. So I do this every morning. I wake up and I go downstairs. I either put my coffee on or I start boiling some hard-boiled eggs. It takes about 8 minutes, so it's perfect for those both those things. If you can, if you don't have time in the morning, if that's like a little bit too hard to wrap your head around, then like I said, just use it throughout the day. Use it as a strategy to help keep yourself awake, to help maintain your energy levels. That'll actually impact your productivity as well. Okay, so like I said, go above. You'll see the link there. You can just access this video, save the page so that you can go back to it. As you do it, 6-8 times, you'll probably learn the movements, and then you don't need to review the video anymore. Okay. Any questions about this? Love to hear that. Any feedback? This whole month we're going to be talking about things relating to movement and exercise. So if you'd like to, if you have any specific burning questions, please put them below. I'd love to include them in the upcoming shows. All right. Until then, have a great weekend.